Hello, good evening, everyone. This time of recording at evening. Okay, so without a further ado, today's topic is about cooling measures. So here are some of my thoughts about what's going to happen, which share with you some of the ideas. All right, of what I think is likely going to happen. Um, if let's say you have been watching some of the videos online and everything, I think some experts has already given their thoughts about what's going to happen and all these things. To me, right now, because of the current market situation we are in, right, I would say largely is because of the low interest rate environment that is really uh, encouraging or stimulating a lot of people going into assets. All right, because think about it. If let's say you have few hundreds of thousands sitting inside your bank and the bank is barely giving you any good interest rate, even if you put in the fixed D, even you put in the some of the instruments that's provided, it's not giving you the yield or giving you the interest rate. So it will encourage you to seek other alternative. And more often than not, it has to be real estate, physical assets such as probably, I don't know, precious metals, gold, silver, all these things. So you can see even the recently Bitcoin also they split out in terms of the high record high on this thing. Okay, so I don't want to talk about Bitcoin and all this thing lah, but um, low interest rate does really encourage speculative behavior. So there are some articles, some experts are also writing about it. So the purpose of the government giving out low interest rate is to encourage and stimulate the economy, but it also have created a different kind of impact and effect in the market whereby consumers or layman people like us will go and seek a better alternative store of value or investment. All right. So when it first came out, right, the property cooling measure, they're saying that there is a talks of more property measures coming up. So a lot of people has been actually asking me and messaging me, hey, what's going to happen and all this thing. Will it be very soon? Should I go and buy now or should I go and sell now? Should I do anything? So I always tell them with a very straightforward answer. Like you have to read at the news article. All right, read carefully what does it says. Government is keeping a close watch, which means to say they won't announce anything so fast, right? Even some of the experts already say because we are right now, because of the COVID, right? Supposedly we should be in a very bad situation or bad economy, but in fact the property prices still shoot up during the month of I think November, December. You can look at the statistics. Still, there is a high number of people buying property. Novandam Park, as you can see, more than a third sold during the first day. The Reef, which is last a few days back only, also very strong record sales. The EC, Park Central, the one in Tampines, also a very, I think 60% sold, which is very, very strong signs that people are buying into properties, right? So all these things, right, it suggests that there is a very strong optimism and bullish sentiment on the ground, right? So if you look at these, both Desmond Lee, the minister now in charge of housing, and the minister Heng Swee Keat came out and say that they are paying close attention to the local real estate market to ensure that it is remaining stable. All right, we do not want to see the market run ahead of the underlying economic fundamentals, which means to say, if let's say the economic is not doing very well, you cannot let the property market jump too high, too fast. So there may be a chance that they may want to implement cooling measures soon, but the soon is nobody knows when. All right. So experts over here, they also came out and say that the cooling measures may not be implemented so soon. Probably they will monitor a few more months, a few more quarters, right? Then they will see what is the rate of the price growth, what is the rate of the land growth, right, before they take any action. So looking at all this article, right, then some of the experts have already given out their comments on the internet, Facebook or YouTube, saying that possibly they may tweak in terms of the ABSD, putting more ABSD, possibly they may extend the SSD and all these things. Okay, based on my reading on the market or based on my own understanding of the market, right, I think um, the existing measures in place and all that, right? High chance they would not want to touch the first timer. Okay, first timer meaning to say people who are more genuine buying a home, young couples, first startup family. High chance they won't want to touch all these people, right? If you're buying HDB straightforward, the government would not want to discourage people buying property if it's for their own usage, right? So if let's say we are talking about ABSD currently, right, is at second property for SC means Singapore citizen, second property 12%, right, third or subsequent 15. So there may be a possibility that they may increase this, which is that time that happened is back in July, right, 2018. So increase from 7% to 12%. So maybe across the board they may up another 5%, right, for all this, whether depending on what status you are, Singapore PR or foreigners or entities, right? So all these things, there may be a possibility that they would target people who are going for their second property or more, right? Next, I think there also could be a possibility that they revert back the seller stamp duty, which previously is actually within 4 years. 4 years if you sell, you see, first year, 60%, 12%, 8%, 4%. Then 4 years you don't need to pay, which means that this policy is to want to encourage people to hold on to their property for a longer term. If you want to sell or flip or you want to speculate the market by exiting the market within a period of 4 years, then you will need to pay tax, right? In terms of a selling part of the stamp duty. So after March 2017, it adjusted downwards to 3 years, right? So with this current market situation, the government may implement this thing back to 4 years. This is why I'm thinking that it may be possibility happening, right? Another thing that very little talk about is property tax, which is a form of, I would say, soft tax, which is not a very big sum of money. But the way I think about it is that the government may be trying to find ways to so-called tax the rich, so-called, because there are people who are holding on to very expensive property, or people who are renting out, right? Renting out then will be under the non-owner occupied residential rate. There may be a possibility that there will be some tweaking in terms of the property tax rate. The way I see it, the last changes, I think it was done in January 2015. So at the present moment, I will say majority of the people who are staying in HDB, you don't really feel the pinch lah. You don't even feel anything if you are staying in HDB. I think you will think, property tax. I think I never pay anything at all. So some people they don't even know got this thing, property tax. But in fact, if your house value, this is charged based on the annual value. So there is a way that they do some calculation in terms of their rental value and all these things. So obviously, if you look at it this way, the more expensive the house that you are staying in, the higher the property tax rate. So I am thinking that there is a possibility that they would want to increase this property tax rate. Reason being is that this is also considered another form of cooling measure, which discourage people from buying too many investment properties, or discourage people from buying into expensive property, right? Next thing is the buyer's stamp duty, which is the normal stamp duty that people that has to pay regardless you're buying first or second or whatsoever. Um, my thinking of this buyer's stamp duty is that because of the wealth gap in Singapore, there is a income wealth inequality lah. There's some indexes or some data to show that you can, because of this COVID situation, the poor actually gets poorer, the rich actually gets richer after this whole crisis incident. So I may think that there may be a further revision for this thing. That means there may be a possibility that right now in the past is 3%. There is a formula in the past, regardless the amount is 3% minus 5,004, right, to calculate the buyer stamp duty, right? Then after February 2018, if your property is above $1 million, there is another way to calculate your buyer stamp duty payable is property price times 4% minus 15,400. So the remainder amount, it depends on what kind of price of property that you're buying. Obviously, if you buy a very expensive property, then you need to pay more buyer stamp duty. So I may be thinking that there could be a possibility that they may increase this rate as well, such that the people who are buying more higher price ticket property, right, the buyer stamp duty will be even higher, which is also effectively targeting the people who are can afford lah. Because if you look at all the newspaper article that came out recently, right, they're talking about prime HDB estate being too expensive. They're trying to create some form of measures. Some minister came out and say that you need to go back to the purpose of HDB is to provide affordable housing for people and all these things. So if you look at it this way, I would say 99%, I'm not sure whether the number is correct. I would say 99% of HDB is below 1 mil, right? So when all these new measures came out, right, largely people who are buying for their first home HDB, they are not really affected at all. If you ask me if the TDSR and all these, will there be any changes? I think as it is, it's already very strict in terms of the loan calculation, in terms of the buffer. So I think in terms of the TDSR and MSR, right, I don't think there will be any changes. But in terms of the buyer stamp duty, I think there may be some changes. In terms of the property tax rate, maybe there will be some revision as well, right? All these things, right, is to adjust such that the people will be discouraged to buy properties beyond their means as well. So this is a article talking about the income inequality situation over in Singapore, right? Which there's this thing, this is the term that I was looking for lah, Gini coefficient or something, right? So if you Google and find out, Singapore is one of the country that we always talk about this thing, income inequality. The rich people in Singapore is really very, very rich. The poor people in Singapore also can be quite sad lah. Also, some of them is not really doing that well. So the various things or the policies that I talk about just now, right? I would say that is also trying a way to get more taxes out of the rich people, the well-to-do people that are staying in Singapore. And of course, we are always very grateful for all the environment, all the policies in place, but also never forget that there are not so fortunate people in Singapore as well. So government may increase all these tax from these various channels and divert them to help the less fortunate people lah, put it this way. So some people always ask also like, hey, is it because a lot of foreigners buying into properties, that's why causing us the property price to shoot up? We should actually don't allow all these foreigners coming in to buy. But in actual fact, you can see that for the year of 2020, the foreigners that's actually buying into Singapore, 17-year low. That means actually it's not the foreigners buying, it's the Singaporean buying, you know, right? So you can see all these articles and all these things, they're talking about all the people who are actually buying and all these things. On the whole, right, if you look at it this way, I would say that there is really ample of liquidity in the market, which means to say there is really a lot of money in the market. People are trying to put their money to their best use. They don't want to leave it in the bank, which is very giving low interest rate. They want to shift it to somewhere that at least the money have a good store of value, and at the same time giving them very decent returns in terms of their return on the money lah. So I think you can see assets shooting up in terms of prices. Shooting up, have a lot of demand lah. Real estate for sure is one of them. Precious metals, Bitcoin, people there is a high perceive of value or good store of value, good store of value lah, and also a very good hedge against inflation. This kind of thing, people will start to rush in and buy. So this is what I think it is. If there is a cooling measure really coming up, I also not sure, but based on what the article has written, I don't think it will be so fast. If it really happens, I would say that probably they will wait for the quarter 1 sales figure to be out. If let's say the URA publish a figure that is so crazily high, people are still buying into property like madness, then probably the government will step in really. But based on what we are seeing now, I don't think the government will do something so fast yet lah. All right, so this is my opinion on the this cooling measure situation. All right, I'll see you next time.